Erythritol. We hear a lot about it. A lot of people are using it as a substitute for sugar. Let's find out if it's healthy for you or not. So what exactly is erythritol? So this is something that is a sugar alcohol that is used as a low-calorie sweetener. It is an option people use so they don't add calorie or add sugar, because a little bit goes a long way. This sounds great, is it? Well, let's talk about how it's made and what it's made from. So erythritol is made from cornstarch or sometimes wheat starch. Usually it's cornstarch. So most of you who know me and have seen some of my videos in the past know what I think about corn and, of course, wheat. So let's kind of talk about exactly what that is. So what they do is they actually take the cornstarch or the wheat starch and they ferment it, and it is a process, which means it's very highly processed. It's not my favorite thing in the world. Problem I have with cornstarch or wheat starch is it does not have to be labeled on any product that it contains corn or wheat or gluten, because it's processed and they extract something from it. Does that mean there's any corn left or wheat left in the product? It's very vague. It's very gray area. In general, it is, if you look it up, you will see that that is not recommended for people with celiac disease, because there's a possibility that the gluten could still be in there with what you're consuming. Sure, it's a small amount. Is it below 20 parts per million, which is the current standard? By the way, that standard is going to be changing soon to 10. It depends on how much you're consuming of it, and in the course of a day, how much have you consumed? So how do you know if your erythritol is corn-based or wheat-based? You don't. That's the answer. They don't have to label it. So corn, of course, you've heard me talk about, not my favorite thing in the world. So yes, indeed, sometimes it can cause the reaction like it would corn or wheat or gluten in a body. How is it made? It's very highly processed, which right there should tell you a lot. Anything highly processed is going to be really hard on the body. So highly processed with what? Here's what they do. They take corn kernels and they grind them up and make them into a starch and extract the starch from there. Then they actually go into taking that ground starch and they're going to make it into the glucose. So glucose molecules are broken down because they do this using enzymes. After that, the glucose is then fermented with a yeast. Sometimes this yeast has been known for really sensitive people who are sensitive to mold toxicity. It's been known to set them off a bit. But beyond that, after the fermentation process, it is then purified, and they take the crystals and extract the crystals from there. The crystals are what they actually use that have been processed. So, highly processed, you get it, right? Let's talk about the effects on the body. What does it do? Well, there have been a few studies done, and of course some studies are kind of limited, but unfortunately these studies are done over a little dose at a time. There haven't been extensive studies done on what if you do a little bit every day, is there an accumulation effect? So most studies, if you go to look to talk about the effects on the body, they're going to go, oh, it's only in large doses. Okay, what's a large dose? Well, let's talk about those effects on the body in detail. First and foremost is it affects the heart. So it can increase your risk of heart attack, stroke. What it does is it actually takes the platelets and make them more active. If you have, if you're a cardiac patient and you have problems, it could create a cardiac event of any kind. It also causes blood clotting. It has been known to in larger doses. So that's the heart. What else? Let's talk digestion. Really greatly affects digestion, as corn does, and also wheat, right? How does it do that? Well, it can cause bloating, it can cause gas, it can cause cramping, diarrhea, nausea, a lot of those things. It really disrupts the gut microbiome. That's the whole point, right? Disrupting the gut microbiome, as you know where I'm going with this, it's the gut-brain axis. Now we're talking about affecting the brain. There aren't a lot of studies done on how much it affects the brain, but there have been some linking it to higher anxiety. So anytime the gut is disrupted or stripped of what it needs, that can happen. And then that means you need to replenish the gut if you're using it. So what else can it do? It can also actually, believe it or not, this smaller sweetener alternative can make you crave more sweets because it makes you consume more because your signals for sweetness have been disrupted. And now your body cannot signal you, that's too sweet, that's enough, stop eating that. And then you go and overconsume these sweets that are made with erythritol. Not a good thing. So I highly do not recommend using erythritol on a regular basis if you're a heart patient, if you have celiac disease, IBS, SIBO, colitis, anything in that realm. It is really not for you. Also, don't use it if you have corn sensitivity or wheat sensitivity, because you don't know over time the accumulated effects. So where do we find erythritol? What's it used in? Well, it's usually paired with stevia. So your stevia is not just stevia. It's paired with monk fruit. Again, most monk fruit is not just monk fruit. It is paired with xylitol. Yeah. And then, of course, you'll see it in sorbitol. You'll see it in sugar-free baked goods, foods, candies, gums. You'll see it in flavored waters and electrolyte powders. Believe it or not, those little vitamin C powders. Tons of erythritol in those. You'll see it in dietary supplements. You'll see it in protein powders, green drink powders as a sweetener. Well, imagine you think you're taking a daily green drink that is helping you with the powder, and then you're adding something in there that's disrupting the gut, and now your body can't fully absorb the green drinks and the good stuff that you think you're adding in there with the powder. That's where you find it. You know, I'm not going to leave you there. As usual, let's talk about alternatives. If erythritol is hard on the body as a sugar alternative, what can I use instead, right? If you're really, truly trying to get off of sugar, reduce your calories, reduce your sugar intake, let's look at other things you can start to use to stair-step off things with erythritol in it. First of all, you can use stevia. You just want to make sure it is in its whole plant form and powdered, not mixed with other things. Sometimes you can find a stevia extract that is just stevia without erythritol, but you really need to read the ingredients. If it says glycerin, that's corn, often, not always. Another alternative is just monk fruit by itself. It is very expensive, but you use so little, 1/16 of a teaspoon to 1 teaspoon of sugar. So yes, it's going to cost more, especially organic. However, you use such a small amount that it's worth it. You have to search really intently to find monk fruit powder by itself and not with erythritol, because I would say closer to 70 to 80% of the time it is paired with erythritol. So read your ingredients. Other options. I love date sugar. I'm not saying do this all the time, but use sugars made straight from fruit. So date sugars, there's a lot of people out there with freeze dryers nowadays. It's a great thing. You can literally freeze dry bananas and powderize it and use that. Freeze dry apples, powderize it and use that. It is a more minimal process for something that you can use as an alternative to sugar and erythritol. But don't panic. I'm not trying to tell you we're going to take away your no sugar chocolate chips. Here at the Co-op, we actually sell chocolate chips that have no dairy. They're all organic. And this one is made with Yuck syrup. Yuck syrup is another alternative that's a little better. You don't want tons of it. This is a small amount. So in this, an entire pound of this chocolate chip, which no one's using an entire pound of chocolate chips in one little recipe, but that's 8 grams of sugar in a whole pound. So you're not using that, right? So that's a much better alternative that you can try. I even recommend using small amounts of honey over full-on erythritol. If you're diabetic, you want to start changing your taste buds anyway. So you're going to shift from those super sweet things like erythritol to something not as sweet that your body's okay with, like fruit sweetened things. This is better alternatives that I think you should try out that will help you avoid erythritol, since it really is not that supportive to the body. If you're looking for better health, let's not do something that hurts another part of the body while you're getting rid of sugar, trying to get rid of diabetes or something in that nature, right? So there really are alternatives. There really are better ways that you can shift things and make it easier on your body. Make sure you know the closer it is to nature, the better it is for your body, right? Because like I always say, natural healing is totally doable.